The past few weeks have me so excited. Coming out of Easter, we all have so much to celebrate. No matter what first-time decisions you may have made, some of you heard the gospel for the first time. Some of you believed in Jesus for the first time. And maybe some of you are taking some serious steps in your faith for the first time. I am so excited for all of us to grow in being connected with God. Being a Christian is a beautiful, exciting, and fulfilling thing. But being a Christian can be weird, and sharing our faith is a pretty scary and anxious thing. See, how do we share this good news? How do we even live like we have good news to share? And how do we not make this weird or uncomfortable? But before we get into it, I want to show you all something. Something ancient and foreign and kind of weird. Yes, this right here is a handwritten letter. And there's something about this that means so much to me. It means more than a text, more than a FaceTime, and more than a phone call. It was sent to me by an important person in my life when I moved away to college. But this writing on pen and paper only means so much to me because the person had a huge impact on my life. And the thing about letters is that no matter where I read it or where I take it, it will always say the exact same thing. And that may sound obvious, but the message of this letter right here will never change. Now, back to the weirdness of sharing our faith. See, we all have a message. We are constantly telling the people the message of our lives based on how we live. And in 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 2 through 3, the Apostle Paul says the same thing. The church of Corinth was struggling with how they were to handle the message of Jesus. They struggled with whose teaching to trust. They struggled with whether or not to support the ministry financially. And they even struggled with how to live their lives after accepting Jesus. For us, we are in the same boat. Sharing our faith has always been a struggle for all believers anywhere. And what Paul tells Corinth is exactly what we need to hear. Paul says, the only letter of recommendation we need is you yourselves. Your lives are a letter written in our hearts. Everyone can read it and recognize our good work among you. Okay, so back to letters. Paul brings up that the church in Corinth are his recommendation letters. I know that may sound kind of weird, but one day, when you apply for a job, or maybe you've applied for something like NJHS, you need to ask people for a letter of recommendation. The letter of recommendation supports that you are worth getting a job or a position based on how someone else talks about you and your character. Paul is saying that his greatest proof of the work God did is the church of Corinth. Paul's proof is their lives. They are his living recommendation letters. And so are we. See, we are letters that should be saying one message to everyone around us, no matter where we are. And what's that message, you ask? Well, Paul keeps it going in verse 3, saying clearly, you are a letter from Christ, showing the results of our ministry among you. This letter is not written with pen and ink, but with the Spirit of the living God. It is carved not on tablets of stone, but on human hearts. Students, the message is that we are truly saved in Christ. But unlike the message of letters that are written with pen and paper, we have the message of Jesus written on our hearts by the Spirit of the living God. See, just like the Corinthians, we are letters from Christ to first each other and then to those who don't know Christ. Our lives should show externally the work Jesus has done for us internally. Let me say that again. I'll go slower. Our lives should show externally the work Jesus has done for us internally. Our lives send out messages. And if you're a Christian, then your life should really have one message. That message being Jesus. When you're home, the message of your life and your letter should be Jesus. When you're at school, the message of both your life and your letter should be Jesus. And when you're on your sports team or any of your other activities you're involved in, the message of your letter and your life should be Jesus. Friends, when the person that you are is the same everywhere, and the message that you're sending is that you believe in Jesus, and then that belief in Jesus lines up with the way you act, sharing your faith becomes less weird. See, faith really only gets weird when we live a life like everyone else that doesn't know Jesus. When we decide to hide our belief in Jesus by acting like everyone else, people may be shocked when you even bring up faith or Jesus. And that's when it can feel a little forced, a bit awkward, or maybe even fake. See, students, our lives should externally show the work Jesus has done for us internally. Then, sharing our faith is natural, not weird. And I'm not saying you need to be perfect and never mess up, but I am saying that people are reading your life. And your life is your greatest witness to Jesus. See, having a fun church may help, sitting under great preaching and teaching may help, an awesome youth coach and really welcoming small group, these are all incredible things. But the people in your life are most impacted by who you are as a Christian. And I want to make this really easy for you all to do something today. I just want you to pick one of the next 3 steps. Step 1, pick your message. Do you need to choose that Jesus is the only message you want your life to be? Or do you have a ton of other messages you're sending out? Do you need to let go of the message of popularity, social media, identity, achievement? Some of you aren't even ready to pick yet. And I want you to know that that's not a problem at all. I hope you just keep coming back and that you really get to know what this whole Jesus thing is all about. We love your questions and we love that you're here with us. But some of you are ready to pick your message. Second, be your message. Are you a Christian all the time and everywhere? Do you need to focus on being the same person no matter who is watching? See, people are reading your life. Are they reading the message you've chosen, that message being Jesus? Are you being a Christian and loving and serving people everywhere? Or do you get caught up in acting one way at home and one way at school? Or do you act differently with your church friends and then differently with your non-church friends? Some of you need to be your message. Number 3, share your message. Are you ready to invite someone to church? Are you ready to start talking to people about the hope you have in Christ when they share something that's pretty hard and tough with you? And if you've chosen the message of your life to be nothing but Jesus, and you fully embraced being the same person everywhere, then you're ready to share. And I promise it won't be weird. Our lives are letters, and we are all sending out the message of our letters to everyone. People are reading your hearts. Do you need to pick the message of Jesus Christ? Do you need to work at being that message in all places at all times? Or are you ready to share the message now that it's not so weird? I believe in you, CCV students. Our lives should show externally the work Jesus has done for us internally, so that the message of Jesus you share isn't a weird thing, but the greatest thing.